hobbies was collecting pebbles of unusual shape and color. On a rainy Saturday during vacation, he found an extraordinary one. It was flaming red, shiny, and perfectly round like a marble. As he was studying this remarkable pebble, he began to shiver, probably from excitement, and the rain felt cold on his face. I wish it would stop raining. To his great surprise, the rain stopped. It didn't stop gradually as it usually does. It ceased. The drops vanished on the way down. The clouds disappeared. Everything was dry, and the sun was shining as if rain had never existed. In all his young life, Sylvester had never had a wish granted so quickly. It struck him that magic must be at work, and he guessed that the magic must be in the remarkable-looking red pebble. To make a test, he put the pebble on the ground. I wish it would rain again. Nothing happened.
But when he said the same thing holding the pebble in his hoof,
I wish it would rain again.
The sky turned black. There was lightning and a clap of thunder. The rain came shooting down.
What a lucky day this is. From now on I can have anything I want. My father and mother can have anything they want. My relatives, my friends, and anyone at all can have everything anybody wants. He wished the sunshine came back in the sky.
he wished a wart on his left fetlock would disappear, and it did. He started home, eager to amaze his father and mother with his magic pebble.
He could hardly wait to see their faces. Maybe they wouldn't even believe him at first. As he was crossing Strawberry Hill, thinking of the many, many things he could wish for, he was startled to see a mean, hungry lion looking right at him from behind some tall grass. He was frightened. If he hadn't been so frightened, he could have made the lion disappear. Or he could have wished himself safe at home with his father and mother. He could have wished the lion would turn into a butterfly or a daisy or a gnat. He could have wished many things, but he panicked and didn't think carefully. I wish I were a rock. And he became a rock. The lion came bounding over and sniffed the rock 100 times, walked around and around it, and went away confused, perplexed, puzzled, and bewildered. I saw that little donkey clear as day. Maybe I'm going crazy.
And there was Sylvester as a rock on Strawberry Hill with a magic pebble laying right beside him on the ground, and he couldn't pick it up.
Oh, how I wish I were myself again.
But nothing happened. He had to be touching the pebble to make the magic work. But there was nothing he could do about it.
His thoughts began to race like mad. He was scared and worried.
He was hopeless, he felt hopeless.
He imagined all the possibilities.
And eventually he realized that only one chance of becoming himself again was for someone to find the red pebble and to wish the rock to it would be a donkey.
Someone would surely find the red pebble. It was so bright and shiny, but one on earth would make them wish a rock were a donkey. Chance was in 1 in a billion at least. Sylvester fell asleep. What else could he do?
Meanwhile, back at home, Mr. and Mrs. Duncan paced the floor, frantic with worry.
Sylvester had never came home later than dinner time.
Where could he be?
They stayed up all night worrying what had happened. hoping that Sylvester would surely turn up by morning. But he didn't, of course. Mrs. Duncan cried a lot, but Mr. Duncan tried to soothe her. Both longed to have their dear son with them. I will never.
At dawn, they went around asking all the neighbors if they had seen Sylvester.
They talked to all the children, the puppies, the kittens,
The colts.
the piglets. No one had seen Sylvester since the day before yesterday.
They went to the police. The police could not find their child.
All the dogs in Oatsdale went looking for him. They sniffed behind every rock and tree and blade of grass.
Into every nook and gully of the neighborhood and beyond.
But did not find a scent of him. They sniffed the rock on Strawberry Hill, but it smelled like a rock. It didn't smell like Sylvester.
After a month of searching the same places over and over again and asking the same questions over and over again, Mr. and Mrs. Duncan no longer knew what to do.
Something dreadful must have happened to him.
He will probably never see his son again.
And all the time, he was less than a mile away.
They tried their best to be happy. To go about the usual way. Well, all the usual ways included Sylvester. And they were reminded of him. They were miserable. Life had no meaning for them anymore. Night followed day after day followed night over and over again.
Sylvester on the hill woke up less and less often. When he was awake, he was only hopeless and unhappy.
He felt he would be around forever, and he tried to get used to it. He went into an endless sleep. The days grew colder. Fall came with the leaves changing color. When the leaves fell and the grass bent through the ground.
Then it was winter. The winds blew this way and that. It snowed and mostly the animals stayed indoor living on the food they had stored up.
One day a wolf sat by the rock that was Sylvester and howled because he was hungry. Then the snow melted, the earth lined up in the spring sun, and things budded.
The leaves are on the trees again. The flowers show their young faces.
One day in May, Mr. Duncan insisted that his wife go with him on a picnic.
Let's cheer up. Let us try to live our lives again and be happy, even though Sylvester Angel is no longer with us.
Let's go to Strawberry Hill. The warmth of his own mother sitting on him woke Sylvester up from his deep winter sleep. How he wanted to shout.
Mother, Father, it's me, Sylvester. I'm right here. But he couldn't talk. He had no voice. He was stone silent.
Mr. and Mrs. Duncan walked in. Mr. Duncan walked aimlessly about while Mrs. Duncan set out picnic food on the rock. Suddenly, Mr. Duncan saw a red pebble.
Oh, what a fantastic pebble. Sylvester would love it for its collection.
You know, Father, I have the strangest feeling that our dear Sylvester is still alive and not far away.
I am, Sylvester wanted to shout, but he couldn't. If only he had realized that the pebble resting on his back was the magic pebble.
Oh, how I wish he were how I wish he were here with us on this lovely May day. Don't you, Father?
Do you have to ask?
so hard he could nearly talk.
I wish I were myself again. I wish I were our real self again.
And in less than a second, in an instant, he was. You can imagine the scene that followed. The hugs, the kisses, the questions, the answers, the loving looks, and the happy tears. When they had eventually calmed down a bit and had gotten home, Mr. Duncan put the magic pebble in the and iron safe.
Someday we might want to use it.
Really, for now, what more could we wish for? We have everything we want. The end!